Welcome to episode 2 of Mining Monday. So last week we did a lot of stuff. Basically, this was the entire week dedicated to just bringing in the GPUs into the new mining room. This week has been pretty much just trying to figure out all the little details because it's actually a lot harder than I was expecting. Not so much to get an individual computer running, but more so the fact that I have like 12 plus computers and I don't even have 240 volt electricity set up yet. So we've been on this back and forth conversation with the electric company and an electrician, and it's just issue after delay, and I'm not entirely sure how quickly we'll be able to get that set up. So right now we have 2 rigs running and they've been running pretty consistently. I haven't really had to do anything. One time there was an issue and I just reset the computer and it worked fine. I just think there was a loose connection on one of the graphics cards with the cables. It's been a huge learning process. We've had to purchase a lot of little things here and there that we weren't initially expecting or we didn't really account for. So I think I got most of what we need ordered now, and now we're just waiting for everything to come in. And this includes some open air rig frames, as well as a power supply, some cable splitters, some risers, various cables, fans, little wireless network adapters, and so forth. The list goes on. So we purchased all of that this week and we'll be showing some of that in this video. Now we actually have a sponsor for this episode of the series, and that is a new sponsor of this channel actually, BlockFi. A lot of people use BlockFi to get an additional return on their cryptocurrency up to 8.6%. And I know a lot of people will use BlockFi as one of the destinations for their mining so that they can get as much interest as possible and basically increase their mining earnings. So I'm going to be looking into setting up that process once I get these miners all up and running. In the meantime, check out BlockFi and see all of their different capabilities. They also have the ability to buy and sell cryptocurrencies on the app, which is convenient. One thing that's pretty cool with BlockFi is that you can borrow money using your cryptocurrency as collateral. So if you want to put your money to work, but you don't necessarily want to sell all your cryptocurrency, you can put it in BlockFi and then get a loan based on your balance. So thank you to BlockFi for sponsoring this episode of the series and for supporting the vision of this mining room. I'll leave a link down below in the pinned comment to sign up with BlockFi. You'll get a bonus with a deposit of $100, up to $250 with a large enough deposit. So using that link will help support this channel. And now let's get back to the mining room. You thought that was a lot? There's more. We have 7 new of these computers. It appears there's only 6, but I have another one elsewhere. Check these out. All right, so this is going to give us capacity for 8 additional cards. And this is pretty much has everything you need. So there's power supply, RAM, processor, and if you look closely, here is the actual SSD. These should just pop out. There's a little tiny screw. All right, so this is the solid state drive, 64 gigabyte. I've actually never seen this form factor, to be honest. So when I got these, I was thinking I would just have the operating system on a USB stick, but we can just use this directly, which is great. Everything's included except the graphics cards. If you want to get an idea just for how loud these things are, once they're all running, I'll be sure to show you guys. But here's one that will actually run on 120. And I'll hook that up for you guys to hear. Oh gosh. Just plugging in the power supply here. And as soon as I plug this in, it'll take off. So yeah, I think our biggest issue here is going to be sound. Right there is a neighbor, and this is going to be insanely loud. So this here will allow you to connect to an M-SATA drive. And we'll post a link to this in the pinned comment. Now, it will be an affiliate link, so for those of you who hate that I make money doing what I love, you can just search it on Amazon. There we go. This will plug in right here and plug in USB. For this, you can just click ignore. So we use Balena Etcher, and you can just grab a file, hiveos.image, open, select target, select that SSD, select flash. That'll go through the flashing process and put the HiveOS operating system on this SSD. And there you go. Now you have two possible options here. You can just put the SSD as is into the computer and set up from there, or you can put a config file on the actual file system. So I'm just gonna put this back, and then we can boot from that disk. Now you will need a monitor and stuff to get everything set up, but if you use the configuration file option, then you could just turn the computer on and it'll work as long as it's connected to the internet. So I'm probably gonna try and show both those options once I can get these things running. But yeah, that is how you install HiveOS on one of these mining boards. So I want to just talk about some other things you might need when setting one of these things up. So first thing, the SSD, like I mentioned, those rigs already had them. But if you're doing an open rig or you're starting from scratch, this is the SSD I recommend. It's super cheap, it's like 20, 30 bucks. And you can get higher storage if you want, but 120 gigabytes is as small as it gets, and that's plenty. So I'll probably end up using that for some of the open rigs that I'm working on. Internet, well, I've been using this TP-Link, which works perfectly fine. I don't have to install anything. Although wired connection is preferred, if you're moving rigs around or just kind of learning, this is very convenient just to have one laying around. It's like 10 bucks. As for actually installing on an operating system, you need some kind of way to connect to it. So this would work, which will allow you to slide an SSD into it, or you can just get sort of like that adapter I just showed you guys, reconnect it directly to there, and it's just USB. So those are just some options. Now, as for actually connecting these, well, you might be used to a plugin like this. I don't know the names of all these, but this will plug into a power supply. This will plug into a wall. If you're on 240 volts, you might need something like this. Now, just warning, I'm not an electrician by any means, so take this with a grain of salt, but this is basically an extension cord. So this will plug into the power supply, and this will allow an additional plug to go into it, such as this one here. Boom. However, this serves a dual purpose of being the plug to go into a power distribution unit or a PDU, such as this one here. So if you're on 240 volts, you'll probably be using a PDU, and it will look something like this. So this will go into a 240 volt outlet, and then you will plug in your computers with one of these cords. And then this will go into a typical power supply. Now, you should also know that you should check the voltage ratings and everything on the power supply just to make sure that it'll run fine on 240 volts. So as a closing thought on these closed rigs, I do apologize, I haven't got these up and running yet. Expect that in the next couple of weeks, and I'll show exactly how it's working for those of you who want to follow along with that journey. I'm also going to be comparing a little bit about preferences between, oh my gosh, dude, I just shouldn't touch anything. I'll be comparing the closed rigs to the open rigs. I'm also working to implement some Chia plotting and some Chia farming in this room as well. So this is starting off slow with just one plotter, and we'll be building this up as we go. But for now, I'm just experimenting with the Mad Max plotter. All right, now the moment I've been waiting for. I don't know if you guys have been waiting for it, but I'm pretty dang excited. So a big part of this little mining room here is going to be other mining projects, including hard drive mining. So right now we are Chia plotting onto an 8 terabyte hard drive. So we're just starting with one hard drive here, but I hope to have a lot more set up, and I'll show a good farming solution. So basically what we're doing, and we did a video introducing this, is we are running Mad Max plotter and using memory for the second temporary location. So 75% of the plotting is going to be done in RAM. So I've done a little bit more testing, and I've tested it doing it with the RAM here, as well as replacing the in-memory with an SSD. In that situation, it's a little bit slower, and it's going to burn through more SSDs, but it might be something you want to consider, as right now, I'm using 100% of my RAM here, and this computer down here has no RAM, so I can't run it. So I could split that out 64 gigabytes each, and then just run everything from SSDs and almost double my plotting speed. It's going to be a little bit slower not being in memory, and I do have some numbers to show that. So if you want the background story, you can check out the Mad Max plotter video we posted, but we started off and we were running one plot every 38 to 39 minutes, which is pretty good. I'm not going to lie, but I've seen a lot better. So then what we did is we turned off the GPU mining, which I didn't expect to affect, but that brought it down to around 32 minutes, 33 minutes. Well, since then I've kept running it, and we've plotted like 50 or so plots, and the times have even settled down a little faster. So I didn't change anything, but we have 32.2 minutes, 30.96 minutes, 30.5 minutes, 30.4 minutes, 30.5. So it looks like it's settling around 30 to 31 minutes per plot, which is pretty crazy. This is 128 gigabytes of RAM, Ryzen 7 5800X. What else is important? The SSD is an Inland Premium 2 terabyte. You don't actually need the 2 terabyte, but that's just what I have, and that has the highest TBW. So then the next question is, how much slower would it be if instead of doing the plotting in memory, we did it all on SSD? So that's what I ran tests on next. So it looks like when doing it all from the SSD, it was 37.8 minutes. And I think I ran another one, which was 36 minutes. So overall, it's a little bit slower. You know, it's going to add 5 or 6 minutes per plot, but you don't need 128 gigabytes of RAM. The consequence, though, is you may burn through SSDs a little bit quicker. So as for the structure of the room, right now we have these metal racks, which are pretty nice. We're working to get a couple more of them set up just to keep this place a little bit more organized. My wonderful cameraman went to go pick some of these up, and he got the wrong ones, so can't trust anyone. But yeah, next week we're hoping to have as many set up as possible and get all this crap out of the way and organized. So we'll see what it looks like, and we'll also mount up some more lights so they're not just scattered all over the place. These lights are actually really cool. They just click into metal clips. They're kind of hard to get out once they're in, but and you can move them around, chain them together, and then you just install these little metal clips wherever you want them, and there you go. This is actually the setup I used back in the good old days above my chalkboard for my tutorials. So I love these things because they're like, you can just throw them wherever you want. So we're probably going to put a couple strips of them on the ceiling just to get some really good overhead light, which actually changes a dungeon into a reasonable workspace with just one or two of these. So definitely recommend just getting extra light, especially if you're staring at a literal brick wall with a nasty sink. Although we could potentially use that for water cooling later down the road. So that is what we've done for the second week of our little mining operation. So far it's been a fun experience, and we're hoping that we continue to have fun, although I will admit it's been pretty stressful. So the fun and the stress is kind of balanced out, and sometimes it's been a little bit more stressful than fun. So I hope that changes in the next couple of weeks and we can start enjoying the process a little bit more. I just feel a pretty significant time crunch and a lot of stress to get these operational, because pretty much every day that these are not running is money lost, and I didn't really account for such a long wait to get everything up and running. So in my mind, I'm losing money. Even though it's not really money I have, it's still something I was expecting to have. So I'm feeling a little stressed to get these up and running. So thank you for watching. Let me know any suggestions or content pieces you'd like to see in the upcoming videos, if there's any questions at all, and stay tuned for episode 3.